Let's start with a surprising story from the 1890s, the Great Manure Crisis. In cities like London and New York, horses powered daily life, pulling cabs and carts everywhere. But with hundreds of thousands of horses came mountains of manure, so much that people feared the streets would soon be buried. Policymakers were stumped. Horses were essential, but their waste was overwhelming. Then, unexpectedly, technology solved the problem. The internal combustion engine and the rise of automobiles quickly replaced horses, ending the crisis. This story, often called the parable of horseshit, is usually told as a tale of technological triumph. But for some, it's a warning. What happened to horses could one day happen to us. Wassily Leontief, a Nobel Prize-winning economist, saw the decline of horses as a cautionary tale. He argued that just as the combustion engine made horses obsolete, computers and robots could do the same to human workers. Today, many people share this anxiety. Surveys show that about 30% of workers in the US and UK fear their jobs could be replaced by machines within their lifetimes. This book, A World Without Work, explores whether these fears are justified, why technological unemployment is a real threat, and how society might respond. The question is no longer if technology will change work, but how and what we should do about it. The term technological unemployment was popularized by John Maynard Keynes nearly a century ago. It describes the idea that new technologies might push people out of work. While economists have debated this for decades, the future of work is about more than just economics. It raises questions about intelligence, inequality, the power of big tech companies, and even the meaning of life. Any discussion about the future of work must address these broader issues, not just the economic ones. As we move forward, we need to consider how technology will shape not only our jobs, but our society and sense of purpose. Contrary to popular fears, the end of work won't come with a sudden bang. Instead, it's likely to be a slow, gradual process. Throughout history, people have worried about being replaced by machines, but those fears have often been misplaced. There has always been enough demand for human labor, until now. The difference today is that machines are taking on more and more tasks, forcing humans into a shrinking set of activities. Eventually, there may not be enough work to go around, especially well-paid, meaningful work. The real risk isn't a world without any work, but a world without enough work for everyone. Understand what's coming. Consider what's already happened in farming and manufacturing. These sectors still exist, but they need far fewer workers than before, even as output has soared. Automation didn't eliminate all jobs, but it drastically reduced the number of people needed. The same pattern could spread to other sectors, leading to a world where there simply isn't enough demand for human labor. This shift challenges the way we share prosperity, since most people rely on jobs for income. As inequality grows, the labor market's ability to distribute wealth fairly is already under strain. As technology solves the age-old problem of scarcity, it creates new challenges: inequality, the power of big tech, and the search for meaning. If machines do most of the work, how do we share prosperity? How do we prevent a few tech giants from dominating our lives, not just economically but politically? And if work is a source of purpose, what happens when there's less of it? These are the questions that will define our future. The good news is that these are, in some ways, better problems to have than the grinding poverty of the past. But they are still difficult and urgent problems. The author, Daniel Susskind, brings a personal perspective to these issues. Growing up in a family deeply engaged with questions of technology and work, and later working in government and academia, he saw firsthand how traditional economic thinking struggled to keep up with rapid technological change. His research, and his collaboration with his father on the future of the professions, challenged the idea that only blue-collar jobs are at risk. Today, even highly skilled professionals, lawyers, doctors, teachers, face the prospect of automation. This book is the result of a decade spent wrestling with these questions. Despite the challenges, there's reason for optimism. Technological progress has made humanity far richer than ever before. For most of history, people lived in poverty, but now, thanks to economic growth driven by technology, global prosperity has soared. The problem of scarcity is close to being solved. However, as technology continues to advance, it will bring new issues: how to share wealth, limit the power of tech giants, and find meaning in a world with less work. These are tough questions, but they are preferable to the struggle for basic survival that defined the past. Most of human history, economic life was stagnant. Only in the last few centuries did growth explode, driven by technological progress. The Industrial Revolution, starting in Britain, transformed economies, making it possible to produce far more with far less. But with this growth came anxiety about automation. People feared that machines would take their jobs, a worry that has persisted for centuries. The story of economic growth is also the story of automation anxiety. And understanding this history helps us see why today's fears are both familiar and unique. Automation anxiety is nothing new. From the Luddites smashing machines in the Industrial Revolution to Queen Elizabeth I refusing to patent a knitting machine, people have long feared being replaced by technology. Even economists like David Ricardo and John Maynard Keynes worried about the impact of machines on workers. While these fears often proved exaggerated, most displaced workers eventually found new jobs. The transition was rarely smooth. Entire industries and communities were upended, and the pain of change was real. The lesson: even if mass unemployment didn't materialize in the past, the disruption was significant. Why did technology lead to mass unemployment in the past? The answer lies in the complementing force. While machines replaced humans in some tasks, they also made people more productive in others, created new industries, and expanded the economy. This happened in three ways: the productivity effect, making workers more efficient; the bigger pie effect, growing the economy; and the changing pie effect, creating new types of work. These forces often outweighed the job-destroying effects of automation, ensuring that there was still plenty of work for people to do. Technological change hasn't benefited all workers equally. In the 20th century, it favored those with more formal education, what economists call skill-biased change. But earlier, during the Industrial Revolution, machines often replaced skilled artisans with less skilled workers. More recently, economists have noticed a new pattern: task-biased change. Technology now tends to automate routine tasks, those that can be easily described and programmed, while leaving non-routine tasks, which require creativity or interpersonal skills, to humans. This has led to the hollowing out of the middle class, with growth in both high and low-skilled jobs, but fewer in the middle. Otter, Levy, Murnane, ALM, hypothesis changed the way economists think about technology and work. Instead of focusing on entire jobs, it looks at the specific tasks within jobs. Machines are best at automating routine tasks, whether manual or cognitive, but struggle with non-routine tasks that require flexibility, creativity, or human touch. This explains why some jobs are more vulnerable than others, and why the labor market is becoming polarized. The ALM hypothesis has shaped not only academic thinking, but also the way governments and companies plan for the future. ALM hypothesis has encouraged optimism by suggesting that there will always be tasks machines can't do. But is this really true? As artificial intelligence advances, the boundary between routine and non-routine tasks is shifting. Machines are learning to do things once thought impossible, from diagnosing diseases to composing music. The assumption that there will always be enough non-automatable work may no longer hold. To understand why, we need to look at the recent revolution in artificial intelligence. Early artificial intelligence tried to mimic human thinking, but progress was slow. The real breakthrough came with the pragmatist revolution. Instead of copying humans, AI systems like Deep Blue and AlphaGo used massive data and processing power to solve problems in fundamentally different ways. These systems learn from experience, not from human rules. Today's AI can outperform humans in tasks like image recognition and complex games, often without any human guidance. As AI continues to advance, it will take on more tasks, challenging the idea that there will always be work only humans can do.